Hi everyone, this is PM Altendorf and I'm in a different spot. It's Wednesday and here in Minnesota we're having a little bit of a blizzard. So I thought I would come live and talk to you as many people are at home and you maybe have a little bit of extra time to watch a short video. So I moved my weekly update. I've been trying to do these on Fridays and I'm in my home office today. So welcome to the Altendorf residence as we have a Minnesota blizzard raging outside. Hopefully my phone stays up. I kind of propped it up. My other stand is at my office in St. Paul. So if it falls, I apologize, but hopefully it works for you. So today I wanted you to post in the comments, why do you love Minnesota? Okay, so obviously we have a blizzard. It is a very cold state. But why do you love Minnesota? So please post in the comments the reasons, all the reasons why you love Minnesota. For me, this is where I was born and raised. My family lives here, and I love the four seasons. I love that very much. I've traveled a lot with my other business and just seen other, places of the country where they don't get our four seasons. And so I think we're very blessed to have that. Also, I love the lakes and all of that offers. We have a big, industry where we have vacationers and it's just a beautiful place to travel. So those are a few things why I love Minnesota, but why do you love Minnesota? Well, today I wanted to talk a little bit. I know it's been frustrating if you are a conservative or you lean towards Republican like I do. However, I think it's frustrating because some of the things that are happening are in Minnesota, no matter where you lie politically, whether you're moderate, independent, maybe you're a moderate Democrat, Republican, conservative. I feel like some of the legislation that's been being pushed through the Minnesota House certainly does not align with Minnesota values. It's not a Minnesota agenda. It's not what's best for our state. What we're seeing, I believe, is a very radical, very far left, and I will say socialist agenda that is happening in Minnesota. And so I just want to have an honest conversation about that. And again, I would love for you to post in the comments, why do you love Minnesota? Because I want you to stay focused on all of the great things that our state has to offer. Now, the reason why I'm focusing on why do you love Minnesota is I am going to be an honest, truthful person with you. So I'm not going to sugarcoat things. I guess if you want dishonesty or sometimes regular politicians might cover things up or sugarcoat them because they're more worried about getting elected than telling people the truth. You're not going to get that with me. So I'm going to tell you the truth. However, and I'm coming from a standpoint that if we know the truth, if all of us know the truth, then we can work together forward for what is best for our state and for the people of Minnesota. So when I'm talking about different issues, sometimes, not all the time, but I see people say things in the comments like, I'm going to move, or we should move outside of Minnesota. And I want you to really stop and think about that, because why are you here? Why do you love Minnesota? And in life, oftentimes it is not uncommon to have things happen that is a challenge. And you have to make a decision. Do you rise up and do you face the challenge that's before you, or do you quit? And so again, I'm not trying to put anyone on the spot. But if you see a challenge or you see something that's wrong, what does your personality do? Do you decide I'm going to run away from that and I don't want to deal with that? Because I do get that. Some people's personalities are like that. Or do you want to better our state? Do you love our state enough that you will stand by us, do what's right, and try to improve and try to do what we can to right the wrongs? So today I want to talk a little bit about Minnesota and what is happening here. So we started out this session, and it's very publicly wide known that we had a huge surplus here in the state of Minnesota. We came into this legislative session 2023 with a $17.6 billion surplus, which is mind-boggling to most people because that is such a huge percentage of our overall budget. So what was budgeted, we have this huge surplus, and I don't know exactly, but if I just was going to throw out a number, I feel like it's 20 or 25% of our budget, but I could be wrong. It could be 30. So it's a pretty significant amount of money that we're over, right? So people often ask, well, what about the surplus and what is happening with the surplus? Well, what we have done right now in Minnesota with this last election is I believe we have elected a majority party, and the people that are in that majority party no longer represent the average Minnesotan. They are very, very far left radicals, very far left. And I can go through, so I wrote down some of the legislation that's going through, and you can decide for yourself if you agree with them. That's great. God bless you. You have that right to believe that way. But when I'm out talking to people, and I'm talking to Democrats too, I am hearing over and over what happened, this is not our priorities. This is not our priority list. So I just wrote down a few things, because I like facts, and I'm just going to work you through, here's the agenda that the radical far left, and I'm going to say socialists, who are in the majority party in Minnesota right now, these are their top priorities. So they put as number one priority, even though abortion was legal in Minnesota, they put it number one priority to make Minnesota right now, and this already went through the House and already went through the Senate, we are now labeled the most extreme state in the whole country on abortions. It lines us up with North Korea and China. There is no state that is more extreme now on abortions than Minnesota, and the far left people that are right now in your state legislature, they put that as their number one priority. So I just asked Minnesota, was that your number one priority? Abortion was already legal. Or pro-choice, was it your number one priority to make abortion the most radical, the most extreme right here in Minnesota? Because that's what the current Democrats, the current majority party, that's what they put as their number one priority. Coming down the list, usually a party puts in their top 20 or so their highest priorities. Now, what I think is interesting too is a lot of these issues are so big, they're so giant, that you would maybe see one of these issues be a top priority for the whole legislative session, and you'd be hearing about it in the news, week after week. There would be stories on this because it's that big. And yet what the strategy was to really take this huge agenda and to just work it through the system as fast as they could. And I believe they did that so that the average Minnesotan, you're back on your heels, you don't understand what's coming, and you're not reacting in the way that you would normally react. So again, number one, abortion, number one issue. I'm just going to go through a few of the top 20. Driver's license for all. So if you are someone here illegally, they want everyone to have a driver's license for all, which again, you can argue back and forth all day long. Is that a number one priority? But that was one of their number one priorities. Coming down the list, we have two major bills. One already passed the House, which was, I'm going to say numbers. All of these you can look up on, if you go to Minnesota State Legislature, you can look up these. But The first one went through the House this last week. It was House File number 19. That was paid sick and safe time. And then we have another big business bill coming through that's called paid family leave. Okay, so I'm going to start saying about the Democrats that they have cute names, bad ideas. That's my new slogan. Cute name, bad idea. And the reason why these are bad ideas is who these are really, really going to affect and hurt are small businesses in Minnesota. So if you like to go to restaurants, you know, small businesses, small coffee shops, mom and pop shops, right in Red Wing, we have a great Main Street, and I'm talking about, you know, small businesses. These are the businesses that a lot of local people work at, but they don't have the benefits package that a big 3M, Cargill, Walmart, they don't have these big benefit packages, but yet a lot of people locally love working for these homegrown small businesses, restaurants. So these two bills that the Democrats have prioritized, who they're going to hurt is small businesses, farmers, and out-of-state places. So, you know, like touristy spots, you know, resorts. If you like going to the lake, it's going to hurt employers from getting people to work for them short term, that type of thing. And so that's very unfortunate, because if we're not a business friendly state, if we're not being attractive to businesses coming here, businesses will go elsewhere, right? You know, because we border South Dakota, North Dakota, Wisconsin, Iowa, and a lot of our greater Minnesota, they might be 20 miles away from the border. And if Minnesota is not being tax friendly to these businesses, it's not that difficult for them to go across the state line. So as a state legislator, I want to be conscious of the health of all of Minnesota, and I want to be a business friendly state. I want to protect small businesses, because businesses is what drives our economy, but it also attracts people to moving here and living here. So remember, again, I said, write in the comments, why do you love Minnesota? We want people to love Minnesota for our weather, for our seasons, for all the great reasons of why you love Minnesota, but we have to be a business-friendly state to keep them here. Another top priority that happened is clean energy. So again, cute name, bad idea, is they labeled it was House File 7, and this has already moved through the House and the Senate and is already law. Governor Walz signed this. So they call it the Clean Energy 2040, but we like to call it the blackout bill, because this is going to be not affordable to Minnesotans. It's going to raise your energy costs a lot. And that makes me sad for small businesses and for families. And it's also clean energy. It's not that we don't want clean energy. It's just that it's not going to be able to happen in the amount of time that they're putting out. And just by looking at things strategically and mathematically, it's pretty easy to tell that. So I would encourage you can look at, you know, for example, I can't remember if it was Illinois or Indiana, I'll post it. But they're putting up this huge 13,000 acres solar farm, 13,000 acres. And that will only, you know, it'll actually provide energy for, I can't remember, it was like 200,000 homes. I'll post it in the comments. So think about that. 13,000 acres that you're taking out of agricultural land that is now going into energy. And when you take land out of production, that's going to drive up your food prices. And it's just not sustainable, because you took that much out of production, that much land out of production, and it's still not enough to provide energy for the whole state that you need. So cute name, bad idea. I'm not against green energy. I'm not against clean energy, but I think most Minnesotans want this to be done responsibly, so that your bills are not going up, and that also here in Minnesota with our extreme temperatures, that we're not risking blackouts or rolling brownouts like we've seen in California, we've seen in Texas, and you don't have to look any farther than Germany And they had this exact same model of going with wind turbines and solar. So Germany did this, and guess what? They've already backed off their plan because it's not working. So instead of embracing a failed plan, Minnesota Democrats are embracing a failed plan, something that's already happened and failed. They also are looking to rewrite our elections to make it easier for people to vote, which again, it just waters down people's confidence in our election system and everything. It's child care for all. And then a few of the crazy bills are, I don't know if you've heard this, but they literally want to ban gas-powered lawnmowers and other yard, whatever you want to call them, yard tools. But that is literally a bill working its way through the House to ban gas lawnmowers. So they're really showing their colors. And again, that's why I'm saying people are watching. This isn't a Democrat or Republican thing anymore. This is a Minnesota thing that we're just going too extreme, too radical, too far. We've elected a bunch of people that want us to be California. And in many ways, we should be looking at California in all the ways that they failed. And we should be smarter than that. We could do these things, but do it in a smarter way. Instead, the Democrats right now in Minnesota are grasping many of the policies in California that have failed there. So I'm not trying to be depressing, but I'm going to always tell you the truth. So my question to you is, what happened to the Democrat Party? What happened to this party? They were supposed to be for the little guy. They're supposed to be for the farmers. They're supposed to be for the union workers. And they're embracing big business, big corporations, and big pharma. Okay? So whenever you see the media, the news, athletes, all of these people, Hollywood, when they're all embracing the liberal ideology, whatever you want to call it, that they're pushing, that's never good. We want the little people, the people of Minnesota. We are the people that matter. And so whenever you see that all of these big money type things are backing one party, your alarm system in your head should be going off. Red flags should be going off all over the place. So I wanted to go through what's changing in Minnesota, but I would ask you, follow the money. Follow the money. Big business is supporting them. Pharma is supporting them. They are no longer, they cannot claim that they are for the little person or the little guy like they used to. They're not the party that they were 20 to 30 years ago. They are not the JFK party. No, we have actually, I believe, done some sort of flip-flop here. And so my goal is always less government, to trust people, to lower mandates, lower regulations. I do understand that there's a place for government to be. But right now, government is way overreaching. There is a big difference right now in Minnesota between the Democrat Party and the Republican Party. One party is pushing through as fast as they can legislation that they believe that they know better than you. They know better than Minnesotans, and they're trying to push their agenda down your throat, basically. They know better. And to me, I'm like, I love people, trust people. And even though we have to have guardrails as good citizens and legislators, we have to have laws, right? We have to stop at the stop sign. All of these laws are important. There is a point where we're overreaching and we're taking away people's personal freedoms. And that's where I am afraid that we're at, is because the Democrat Party in Minnesota right now has the trifecta, which means they have a Democrat governor, they have the majority in the Senate, and they have the majority in the House. Because they have this trifecta, they believe that they know best and they can force the socialist agenda on Minnesota. So I'm going to ask Minnesotans to, again, I asked you to post in the comments, what do you love about Minnesota? There's lots of reasons to love Minnesota. And I'm going to ask you to please, if you love Minnesota like I do and many other people do, to fight with us and to push back on this agenda. So when I say fight, I'm just saying, don't back away, don't run away. do it in a positive, Christian way that we would, and let's bring it to light. Let's talk to our neighbors. Let's wake up other people to this agenda, and let's get people involved. So we first saw a win, and that was the homeschoolers. The homeschoolers were great, but we had a bill coming through the House. It was HF 1269, I believe, and there was language in it that the homeschoolers were going to have to start doing standardized testing and report it to the state. Well, guess what? The homeschoolers pushed back against that, and they won because the Democrats stripped the language out of that bill. So this is how we win. This is how we win, is you write letters to your state legislators. You, if you have Democrats in your area, you talk to them at church respectfully and honestly. You show up at town halls. You ask tough questions, and you send emails. So how we win is we get our message out there that the agenda they're pushing forth is not a good agenda for Minnesota. It is not a business-friendly agenda. And going back to my original question is, what happened to the surplus? What happened to the $17.6 billion surplus that we started this session with? If the Democrats get their way, they're just going to continue to chip and chisel away at that. But what's very problematic is the more they continue to pass legislation with new laws that's going to be future spending, we are now going to put Minnesota really at risk of running a deficit in the years to come. So we want, as far as the surplus goes, I would have personally preferred to work on tax cuts to getting some of that money back to the taxpayers that actually paid it in, and possibly doing some really valuable infrastructure in our state, which would have created jobs and helped our state in places that we really need it with the infrastructure wise. Another place where I think we have to invest is in my district, we have some mental disability homes, and they are in really dire needs of funding or possibly having to close some of these homes. So those are some of the places that we could have put one-time spending and help them out. Those are the kind of places that I would have focused on, and not continually add money to the budget that's going to put us at risk in the future. So here's the positive thing. We have a lot of great people that are working hard. We're fighting back against this agenda, but the bottom line is the Democrats are in the majority. So whether you were a Democrat in the past or you still currently are, if you are starting to see some of the dangers of this legislation, of continually adding more mandates, more regulations, that's going to be driving up our overall budget, and which just frankly we can't afford. If you want to keep us a healthy state, then we have to be a business-friendly state. We have to attract businesses to our state, and that's going to drive our economy. That just only makes sense, right? Economics 101, you get that, right? So we have to be business-friendly. If you're starting to see some of the dangers that's happening with these bills that are getting pushed, we need you to get involved. Just like the homeschoolers got involved, we need you to show up, respectfully protest, have signs, write letters. Like I said, talk to the legislators in your district, if they're in your neighborhood, have nice, intelligent conversations with them, show up at town halls, and just really be present. I think in life, we're very busy. I'm a mother, we have 5 kids. And I know what it's like to be busy, to be going to sports and to have kids in school and to be juggling work and juggling everything. I get that. But I'm going to ask Minnesota right now, this is so important and this is so serious that we need you to get involved. So I'll post in the comments, check out the Minnesota State Legislature website, watch these bills that are going through the House, talk to neighbors, talk to friends, and really become a part of the solution. You cannot think that the Republicans are able to do all of this or that we're able to stop it because we don't have the votes. And the only way that we can really stop some of the socialist agenda that's coming and really reprioritize what's important to you, to the citizens of Minnesota is calling them out and letting them know that these priorities are not your priorities, that you want them to focus on what are good state legislation that helps all Minnesotans, and not to cherry pick these issues that are just really too radical, too extreme, and they're not helping or the average everyday Minnesotan. So there's a lot more, but I'm sorry if this got too long, but I just wanted to stop in. I made a joke today on my Facebook page, whether you knew it was a joke or not, but I jokingly said I was going to hibernate during the blizzard. But I am committed. I am working hard, and my goal is to help educate, inform, and to communicate to the public what's happening. Your job is to share this and to get out the message. Your job is to get involved, talk to your neighbors, and to really, really get involved, maybe for the first time, to get involved with politics and to push back on this radical agenda that's hitting Minnesota. So love you guys. Have a happy blizzard here in Minnesota, and post in the comments if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them. Like I said, there's so many things coming through. It's really hard to focus. It's really hard to message, but I want you to know I'm here. If you have questions, I'm here to support you in any way that I can. And I'm committed to staying here in Minnesota, to fighting against this agenda. And I hope you join me. Thanks, everyone. Bye.